Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about some videos I bought over the last several months now because I've been really busy and haven't made any videos. But I've been doing a lot of reading and buying books as usual, so I'm just going to show several of them, talk a little bit about them, and hopefully you see one you've read before and you can tell me to read, or you see one that you've never seen before and might find interesting. So there was a sale, I don't know, maybe 2 months back, Library of America sale where they were doing half off on some box sets. And I ordered 2 box sets. One of them, they sent me the wrong one. Someone there in their warehouse in Iowa can't read, but no, it had the same first word. I ordered Reporting World War II. They gave me Reporting Civil Rights, which is also interesting, but it's not what I was looking for right now. I was looking for the Reporting World War II one. But anyway, the other one I got, the other box set I got, is the What I Stand On, Collected Essays of Wendell Berry. And Wendell Berry's a guy I'd been thinking about more and more lately. One of my coworkers likes Wendell Berry, likes his novels, but I had been thinking more about his essays and, his environmental work and all this sort of stuff. So, yeah, he has a handful of interesting essays. The one I was excited to read is The Unsettling of America. The Unsettling of America, probably one of his most famous works. But anyway, Wendell Berry. So I'm reading some of his essays. And then, you guys might know, there was the Gaddis centenary that was, I don't know, a month and a half ago. I don't know. I've just been, work has been totally consuming. So now that I'm on break, I'm kind of getting my head back on straight. But anyway, during the Gaddis centenary that was taking place in St. Louis, there was a talk by Stephen Moore, and he used it as an opportunity to suggest research topics on Gaddis. Now, I really couldn't care less about current research on Gaddis or whoever, any literary kind of criticism stuff. Some of it's interesting, very small amount of it's interesting. Most of it I could not care less about. But he brought up an interesting point during his talk, and he was talking about the influence of Russian novels on Gaddis. And I used that as an excuse to read more Russian novels, or at least to buy them in hopes of reading them, because when I first got into reading, I first got into reading through several other writers, but Dostoevsky was one of them. And I read Notes from Underground, The Idiot, and then The Brothers Karamazov, and that was the order. I had been meaning to read Crime and Punishment and Demons for a long time, and then I never read a full Tolstoy novel. I never read Fathers and Sons by Turgenev. I never read Oblomov by Ivan Goncharov. And apparently this was one of Gaddis's favorites, so I'm really excited for that one, and it just sounds interesting. I never read all the way through. I read part of it, but not all the way through Dead Souls, which this is the NYRB edition, translated by Donald Rayfield. I've also never read What Is to Be Done by Nikolai Chernyshevsky, famous, nihilist, anarchist novel of the time. Apparently inspired Lenin. So those I think will be really nice to read, to kind of compare them in my head to Melville and Hawthorne and these kind of American writers that were contemporaries to them, but also comparing it to later Russian history, later Western history, later in the sense of more recent and all that. So anyway, looking forward to those. Let's see. A couple more contemporary writers, not really contemporary writers, so to say, but more contemporary. So one of them is Jay Wright. Now, I first heard of Jay Wright, let's see, must have been from Harold Bloom, saying that he was one of the best contemporary poets. And, him saying contemporary means like born in the 50s or whatever, but I was just skimming this when I found this the other day, and I just saw, references to Gorostiza, who I assumed was Jose Gorostiza, Galileo, and some of the lines were interesting too. So just seemed like a, cultured, thoughtful, well-written book of poems. And I know this is one of his later books of poems. I think he has one called Transfigurations, which is his collected poems. So maybe if I like this one, I'll get that one. But anyway, Jay Wright, interesting poet. Then I got The Changeling by Joy Williams, because one of my, and this is really nice edition, Tin House books. One of my ongoing interests, just as, I don't know, kind of a throwaway thing, but is to read more novels or books of poems from the 70s. Because I've been doing research on the 50s and early 60s. But then several of my favorite novels come from the 70s, like Suttree, 79, and J.R. by Gaddis, which is 75. Other notable novels of the 70s, Gravity's Rainbows, 1973. You have A Public Burning, which is 77, pretty sure. You have Ratner's Star, which is 1976. And then you have, various others. The Changeling was 1978, if I remember correctly. And yeah, it's just the way it's described seems interesting. I've heard one poet I like, Daniel Popick, he said that Joy Williams is the best living American prose stylist. So it's probably not correct, but that at least means she's good. So worth reading one novel of, and The Changeling seemed the most interesting. So Joy Williams. And then the last work of fiction, I did kind of a book trade with somebody, and I was able to get a hold of Benjamin Labatut's first novel. He's most famous for When We Cease to Understand the World, which is in Spanish is Un Verdor Terrible. And this one was his first novel, won a prize, La Antártica Empieza Aquí. And yeah, apparently this is about him, a journalist, is in a group of Chilean militarists, and if I remember correctly, he said something about him, he had gotten into magic or something, like interested in black magic. I remember this in an interview from in English, and him talking about When We Cease to Understand the World. And it's like this idea of obsession where he got so obsessed with it that he almost lost his mind. And if I remember correctly, that's what inspired him to write this book. So yeah, looks Looks very interesting, and unfortunately it's so hard to come across now that I feel very fortunate that someone was able to trade with me. So thanks again. All right, and then some nonfiction. So we'll just go. First one here is a book I had been interested in for a long time, and I just finally decided to buy it. A History of English Prose Rhythm by Saintsbury, George Saintsbury. And one fascinating thing about this one is that it was purchased. So I got it shipped from Prague in the Czech Republic, which is an unusual place for a scholarly work of English literature to be shipped from. So I thought, wow, this book has an interesting story behind it. I wonder if I'll be able to piece together any of the story. Well, you see here, there's a signature by some Czech guy from 1930 in London, Zdeněk Valkarzy, I don't know, but London 1930. And considering the fact that it was shipped to me from Prague, it must have been bought in London, brought back to Czech Republic, Prague, and must have survived there during World War II. So there's like dust on the top, but I don't know if it's ash, but it's pretty dark, only in certain streaks. But I don't know. This book, the physical book, has a story to tell. But this book is also fascinating because it shows how you can scan a line of verse or a line of prose as you would a line of verse. So just building analytical tools which can help your writing. So just fascinated with it. One guy really likes it, Jacob Seifring, who does sublunary editions with, the actual press name is blanking for me, but yeah, he just helped put together the collected poems of Marguerite Young. They put out Emmanuel Carnevali, who's a writer I talked about several years ago. So they're putting out good stuff. So check them out if you haven't. All right, and then two more books here. I have one that is helping me research the 1950s, and that is Dr. Strangelove's America, which is kind of a more cultural sociology kind of thing, but it talks about of course, referencing Dr. Strangelove, the movie, and How to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. And it basically asked that question. Did America actually come around to the bomb, or was it just this, cultural anxiety and fear till the end, and it was just sublimated into the Vietnam War or whatever? I mean, I'm adding that in. The book doesn't really deal with that as far as I know, but it just talks about Cold War, American culture during the late 40s, 50s, early 60s. And I've been doing research on that time period, so this book will be perfect for me with that. But yeah, Dr. Strangelove America, Society and Culture in the Atomic Age, published by University of California Press. And then my last book I'm going to talk about, which is actually 2 volumes. And this is a guy I've been interested in for a while, but I just realized that he had a 2-volume authoritative biography in English put out. So, and that is Franz Boas. So this is volume 1. So this is a picture of him with a group that he lived with, studied. And this one's called The Emergence of the Anthropologist. This one goes from 1858, when he was born, to 1906. And then volume 2 deals with 1906 until his death. in the 1940s, I believe. But there's that one, handsome gentleman there. But he basically founded anthropology in America. He, at Columbia University, he taught Alfred Kroeber, Margaret Mead, Ruth Benedict, Elsie Cruz Parsons, and the people he taught founded anthropology departments everywhere, founded in California, Illinois, everywhere. They founded them everywhere, New York, all over. So huge guy, like huge figure in intellectual history. Must know about, if you're interested in intellectual history at all. But one of the reasons I was so interested in him most recently is because he was a major opponent of racial science, in the sense of using it, well, even the idea of races in general, but especially when it was used to separate people and divide people. And of course, he lived during the time of the Nazis, and it was just horrifying for him to see that show up in his own country. And he was Jewish, so till his dying day, he fought against it in every way he could, tried to help people get out of Germany and so on. But he fought till the end. He fought the good fight till the end. So you can't take that for granted. And so I want to learn about him. And I've read some of it so far about his early student years, and he was taught chemistry by Bunsen, of famous Bunsen burner fame. But yeah, so fascinating guy. Hopefully I'll be able to make a video about having read both volumes, but that might be a little ways down the line. But anyway, try to make a shorter video to balance out my other ones I've been recording. Yeah, let me know if there's anything in here that you think would fit with these. Yeah, all right. Thanks for watching. Death is a Gang Boss.